The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's roleplay session with your host, James McDonald.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea, and I'd like to start by welcoming our participants to our favorite time of the week. It's roleplay time, and I hope that all of you are eager to do some volunteering and practice the universal callback script with me here today. Before we get started, just bear this in mind. In addition to volunteering to do role-playing, any questions related to follow-up would be appreciated on this webinar here. In other words, there are elements or issues that come up surrounding your follow-up where it would be helpful to discuss it with everybody on the line on the webinar here right now. So don't be shy. You can definitely do that. You can type your thoughts, your questions, your challenges, whatever is going on into the chat, and we can discuss those as well. Now, as a matter of fact, while you're considering that or you're considering volunteering to do some role-playing with me, I just want to bring up a couple things here that I think will be helpful. This past week, I spent a little bit of time over at one of our local members, Jim Buttrell. He's got an amazing team. He's been in our system for several years now and does an incredible job, particularly in recruiting and training staff. And I spent a little time with his inside salespeople this past week. And what I gleaned from spending that time with them is that there are a couple things that one is technical and one is not so technical that I wanted to share with the group here this morning. Now, the first is this. When you become really, really good with this universal callback script, you're no longer memorizing and just reading words on a page. What happens is you have this epiphany where you understand exactly what the script is saying and why it is saying it. And as soon as that happens, you're now able to have a conversation with your prospect. Okay, so we're going to call that mastery level with this script. You reach mastery level when you can accomplish what the script is accomplishing, but without reading or without simply memorizing and then regurgitating the words in the script. What you're doing is you're having a conversation with your prospect, but the conversation is a structured one. And as soon as you get to that point, what happens is you're able to follow the script, but you're also able to talk like a person, speak the way that you speak. You know, it's okay when you reach that level to perhaps ask a different question that might not be on the script. But you can only do that once you reach mastery level. So unfortunately what that means is when you first start with this, you kind of got to read the words on the page, and then you got to memorize it. And then all of a sudden you have to understand and have that epiphany moment where you get it. You get why the introduction is written the way it is. You understand why the qualifying questions are written the way they are. You understand how the offer is compelling to the prospect so that they want it before you offer to book an appointment with them. Once you understand all those things, now you can have a conversation with your prospect. Now, why is that so important? Because if your prospect is having a conversation with somebody who sounds competent, who sounds confident, who sounds like an expert, who sounds like a professional, they feel like they're in better hands than if they're talking to who they presume is a telemarketer. And that's the long and short of it, is when you get a phone call that perhaps you weren't expecting, and it's a telemarketer, and they're reading words off the page, you can tell a mile away. And here's what you're not thinking. What you're not thinking is, I'm talking to an intelligent, competent, confident person who can help me. You think you're speaking to somebody who's annoying you. They're a pest. But if you were to have a conversation with an attorney, let's say that you had a telephone conversation with an attorney over the phone, that attorney would not be reading a script because they're competent. They know their stuff. They would no doubt be following a structure. They know what information they need to get from you and what information they need to give to you, but they would do it in a very conversational, competent, but conversational manner. That's where you need to go with this, so that the prospect that you're speaking with, who is highly motivated, clearly and obviously searching for properties. They're taking action searching for property, and you've established that. You know that they're taking action looking for property because they wouldn't have found your ad had they not been. Now all of a sudden we're having a conversation with someone who we know is motivated and has already taken action looking for property. If they feel like you're a telemarketer, they're going to be far more reluctant to want to meet with that person. But on the other hand, if you can demonstrate competence and confidence and have a conversation with them, albeit a structured conversation, what you'll find is you'll get places with prospects that you otherwise wouldn't have. So that's something that all of us are shooting for. That's why participating every Thursday on these sessions is so vitally important. It just gets you that much more competent and confident. Okay, now, and the final thing that I wanted to share is this. What you guys should be doing if you're not doing this is you should be booking all your buyer's appointments at your office, right? A buyer appointment at the office is going to be more successful in its ends than booking it at a Starbucks or booking it at their home, right? So in other words, if the buyer jumps through the hoop and they agree to come and meet with you in your office, first of all, it's a more professional surrounding. But you also have a captive audience. Now you can give them the buyer presentation, and it's far more likely to result in a signed contract. But that's not the case if you do it elsewhere. So that's what you want to do first. Now, will there be exceptions to that? Of course there will. But your rule is you book buyer appointments at your office, and overwhelmingly you'll find that that's the best and first approach that you take. Okay, now, having said that, Craig, welcome to our Thursday role play webinar here this morning. How you doing?
Good. You're a real talker today, Mr. McDonald.
Hey, that's what I do.
That's what you do. Yes, I was a little bit late. I realized what time it is. I run into the kitchen to get myself a coffee, and of course I dropped the coffee mug and glass everywhere.
Well.
And then my wife said, "Why did you do that?"
Yes.
Why did I drop it?
You meant to.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good reason.
All right, so let's rock and roll here. We're going to take your questions as we always do. We're going to do some role play. You can try to stump James and I. You can be the prospect, or we can be the prospect, whichever way you'd like to do it. Let me point out
something else as well. This is another observation I had. When you're generating lots and lots and lots of leads every single day, like the Jim Buttrell team, like the truth is this. Like you want to be good and you want to use logic when you're handling objections, but the truth is this, anybody who's not motivated or anybody who's rude or anybody who's 100% committed to somebody else, the truth is this, if you had nobody else to follow up with and you weren't generating any more leads, then you would really have to fight that person to try to procure their business. But if you're generating leads every day, almost hourly, then understand you don't need to try to create motivation where it doesn't exist, or you don't need to try to pull somebody away from doing business with their brother. You know that only happens when you have scarcity. So this is why the two go hand in hand: lead generation and lead conversion. The better your lead generation, it means that no one prospect becomes so important that we have to we have to deviate from our system in order to get their business.
Okay, first question is from Michelle Burgos. Michelle says, how do you adjust the universal callback script when you're calling back Commission Inc. leads when they're out-of-town buyers or out-of-state buyers and they're looking to buy in the next 3 to 6 months? So look, James, as you've mentioned, eventually to buy a home, they have to come into your area. And if they're going to be coming into your area in the next couple of weeks, you're just going to set that appointment up at your office, as James just indicated. If they're months and months and months away from coming into town, what you could try to do is do the buyer presentation right over the telephone. Yes, we have members that do that. You could do a little webinar like we're doing right now, go over all the benefits of committing to you and get the buyer agency agreed. Just email that they signed it and they send it back to you. Okay, much better, of course, and much easier, if they're coming into town.
And then option 3 is you can just figure out when they are coming in, when they are coming to your marketplace. If they're going to buy in your marketplace, they are coming to your marketplace. The question is, when are they coming? So when they do arrive in your marketplace, you're going to follow up with them in half the time they indicate so that you're on top of it. And when they do have plans to come to your marketplace, your office is their first stop.
James, I like something else you say as well. Quite often I hear from realtors, well, the buyers, they don't want to meet with me, or the buyers, when they meet with me, they don't want to sign the exclusive buyer agency agreement. They don't want to commit. And your point is, but they do eventually. Eventually they meet with a real estate agent,
Yes.
and eventually they commit to the real estate agent. So, why not you? So it's not that they won't. It's that for some of you, you just don't know what to do or what to say to compel them to meet with you, or to compel those that do meet with you to sign the buyer agency agreement. I don't think anyone here would prefer not to have commitment. I mean, is there anybody here that says, I actually like a loosey-goosey arrangement. In fact, I don't even get my sellers to sign a listing agreement. We just do it on a handshake. I don't think so. I think we all want to know in advance whether we can be compensated for our time. So let's see if we have anybody that would like to do a role play. Kathy Skill actually has typed in here. She says, James, would it be possible to hear Craig Proctor on the phone using the universal callback script? Yes, we have recordings of that. But Kathy, you're going to get to hear Craig Proctor on the phone right now using the universal callback script. Andrea, can you show everybody where they can access the recorded library of me actually calling real buyers and sellers, not role-playing like we're doing real live phone calls?
Yes, in the file library, so under libraries, file library. It's ID number 46, I believe, and it's going to come up. Yes, ID 46. Listen to Craig, make follow-up calls, and you just download that to your device.
Okay, next question is from Sarita Hardy, and Sarita is asking, where can I find the buyer agency agreement that is editable? Well, Sarita, you're going to use your state or your own jurisdiction. They're going to have a buyer agency agreement. That's what you're going to use. So if you're in California, you're going to use that. If you're in Florida, you're going to use that.
If you're baby stepping it, you want to use the VIP buyer agreement.
Okay, is it editable is the question. So let's pull that up. I know what she's referring to now. So I did have a little baby step agreement. I'll show everybody here if Andrea can find it.
And what that means, baby step, is it simply bullet points the benefits of buyer agency and simplifies it so that it's far less intimidating for the buyer. I know some of the state contracts are pages long, and it looks like you're signing your life away. So this is a far less intimidating version.
Right. So some of our members, especially in California, said, hey, Craig, everything's going well when I meet with the buyers. Then when I pull up the state buyer agency agreement, when I put that paperwork, and there's like 6 or 7 pages, it kind of freaks them out. So I said, well, look, why don't we baby step them, get them to sign this first, and then you can pull out the state agency agreement. And what are we really saying here? We're just spelling out exactly what's in it for both parties. So point number 1, we're going to help you get pre-approved for a home loan. You guys would all do that, right? Free of charge. Point number 2, we're automatically going to mail you, that should just say send you, I don't care whether you mail or email, regular updates of homes that match their home buying criteria. They can pick out the homes they like, drive by them, and let us know which ones they want to see. Point number 3, we will use our specialized knowledge to ensure you get the best home, the best possible price. We'll discuss strategy with you regarding offer, price, financing terms, possession, etc. We're going to present that offer on your best behalf. And benefit number 4, we will continue to serve your needs even after you purchase the home by showing you where to find the best services such as legal expertise, home inspection, survey, etc. Now, in exchange for these valuable services, here's what they commit to do. Return for these services, you will agree to, number 1, make your house hunting process easy by obtaining a written pre-approval. Number 2, allow us to represent you when you see a home, new or resale, that you want to view. This means that you'll let us know when you're going to view any home and to advise other agents, builders for sale by owners that we're your agent. If you make an offer, you're going to make the offer through us. And number 3, and you'll fill in the blank, the time period that you want. In this case, give us 6 months from the commencement of this process to represent you as your agent because the vendor or builder pays our fee. You don't pay us anything for the services that we've outlined above, and you're under no obligation to buy or build a home. That's true, right? They're not under any obligation to buy. Now, you folks will have to decide what you want to do here, but this should make it easy for some of you who are having trouble getting the buyer agency agreement signed. If you do use another agent or company to purchase a home without using us, you agree to pay us a $495 fee as compensation for the services and time and effort. So if they wouldn't even agree to this, if they leave you behind, use another agent, that they wouldn't even give you $495, I would, run screaming for the exit, because this is a buyer that is probably not going to be loyal. But you guys can play around with this. I don't think it is editable. Is it? Like, you can't eat it, right? That's a joke, Andrew. It's a joke. James, you got to loosen up a bit, man.
I appreciated that joke. That was one of your best ones, unfortunately.
You can't edit this, can you?
If you have Adobe Professional, you should be able to edit PDF files, and it generates as a PDF. You can probably Google different options on editing PDFs depending on what type of device you have. With all the technology out there has to be something.
Well, let me ask you.
I'm not sure what you would want to edit.
Well, you might want to edit that last sentence. But how about this, Andrea? Is this in the certificate generator?
Yes, that's where I'm at.
Okay, you're in the certificate generator. Okay, so why don't we do this? When we're done here today, why don't we highlight all the fields that we think our members would like to edit. We'll give it to Adrian, and he'll make it happen.
A good idea, though, Craig, is you could use it as a takeaway. In other words, if the buyer agreed verbally to your representation, and then you slid the VIP buyer the VIP buyer agreement in front of them with a pen and said, "Let's go through these and circle anything that you have questions about." They get to the very last, the last one, and maybe they're somewhat concerned about that. With the pen in their hand, they could, you could use it as a takeaway or edit it in whatever way, and then have them sign off on the buyer agreement. So it's not the end of the world if you have something in the agreement that you can use as a takeaway. I don't want to let this get in the way of helping you.
Well, we do, as realtors, we do that every day. I have an offer on your house, James. You're the seller, and you say, well, I'm not including this and this and this, and I want to change the price to that and the possession date. I get my pen out, we scratch it out, and we change it.
Which is why I would rather you leave the VIP buyer agreement exactly as it is, and with pen in hand, you and the buyer can go through it. If there is anything glaring in there that they disagree with strongly, you can use it as a takeaway. In other words, you're going to give that to them. You're going to take that away to make them happy. I'm willing to do this to make you happy. I'm not going to let this get in the way of helping you. That's powerful, as opposed to it not being there in the first place.
By the way, is this a legal agreement? Yes, it's a contract between you and the buyer. Completely legal. Just because it wasn't created by your real estate association doesn't mean it's not a legal and binding agreement. Okay, let's do this. I think it's time to do a role play. Do we have any volunteers at this point, Andrea?
Yes, we do. We have Daniel Garcia. Your mic is now open.
Hello, Daniel Garcia. I understand that you're an inside sales agent for Sam.
Yep, I am.
Okay, you better do a good job because I'm going to be seeing him on Monday. What type of prospect do you want me to be?
Well, how about someone who requested for bank foreclosure properties?
Okay, I requested a list of foreclosure properties. You're calling me back. Ring, ring, and I say hello.
Hello, may I speak with Craig, please?
He's not in right now. This is his wife.
Yeah, well, by the way, my name is Daniel with Royal LePage. What time is a good time for me to call?
I don't know when he'll be home.
Okay, by the way, can we talk about real estate with you?
Okay, is that in the script?
No.
I threw you off deliberately, didn't I?
Yeah.
But isn't it true that most people that you call are married, right? Got a partner anyway, and you call and one's not there and you're speaking to the other one. So let's talk about how do we handle this situation when, say, the husband requested the information, but when you call, the wife answers. Here's what you want to do. You want to carry on with that script as long as the other person will let you carry on with it. Sometimes it's even better to get the wife versus the husband.
Okay.
Because here's what you'll find the wife will sometimes say. Well, you know, I knew my husband and I were talking about we were talking about selling our house, but I didn't know he contacted a real estate agent. And then you carry out the script. Yes, you know, if you were to move, would you be staying local? Would you be moving out of the area? Do you have a realtor to help you? So let's try this from the top, and let's talk about how we're going to go through the script if I'll let you, and then I'll tell you what to do if I won't let you.
Okay.
So ring, ring, and I say hello.
Hello, may I speak with Craig, please?
This is his wife. May I ask who's speaking?
Hi, I'm Daniel with Royal LePage, and the reason why I'm calling is because I received your request for a list of bank foreclosure properties.
Well, you're going to say your husband's request.
Your husband's request for a list of bank foreclosure properties, and as courtesy, I just want to let you know I've sent that list over to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, you know, I know we were talking about making a move. I didn't know he had contacted a real estate agent.
Well, yeah. By the way, I was just wondering, are you planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, we're talking about it.
Okay. Well, are you currently renting, or do you own the property you're living in?
We're renting right now.
Okay. And if you were to make a move, are you planning on staying in the area, or are you moving out of the area?
We want to stay, you know, in town for sure.
Okay. And if you were to make a move, when do you think that might be?
As soon as we see something that we really like, you know, like I said, we're renting, so there's no, you know, urgency.
Okay. Well, do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
We went to some open houses a couple weeks ago, and one of the guys we met there has been emailing us houses.
Okay. Are you 100% committed to working with that agent?
I don't know. It's just some guy we met at an open house.
Okay.
So not really.
Okay. Well, would you like me to email you daily updates of homes that match your home buying criteria, not just from all the real estate companies or the MLS, but also including any off-market properties, bank foreclosures, distress sales, and homes below market value? It's a free service, and you're never obligated to buy a home. Would that interest you?
Yeah, I would like that.
Okay. Well, when do you think can we get together for about 15 to 20 minutes so I can take down exactly what you're looking for? Days, evenings, or weekends?
Well, let me ask you this. The stuff that you're going to send me, wouldn't that be the same information that the other agent's emailing me?
Well, I'm not sure what your agent is sending you, but my list includes great deals like bank-owned homes, bank foreclosures, and distress sales, homes that aren't on the MLS. Do you want me to send those as well?
That's good. And make sure you say as well. Would you like to receive that information as well? Because now the prospect's thinking, well, there's no downside. And the biggest fear that the buyer has, remember, you're playing on that fear, which is they're afraid they're not getting all the information. So they know they're getting emails from another agent, and you come along and say, look, hey, I'm not really sure what the other agent's sending you, but my list includes bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, and distress sales. Would you like to get information on those as well? So what's the buyer thinking? Well, there's no downside to this, right? I don't know if the other agent is sending me all the information. I can get Danielle's list as well. No, it's free of charge, no obligation. So guess what happens? They say, okay, yeah, I would like your list. Now what?
Okay, so when do you think is a good time for us to sit down for about 15 to 20 minutes? Days, evening?
We need to meet. Why can't I just tell you over the phone what I'm looking for?
Yeah, we can do that, but I want to do a good job for you, and rather than
I wouldn't say we could do that.
You can't do that.
Why? You know, how about this? Yeah, we could do it that way. It'd be a lot more convenient for you. Or I can make you do it the way you don't want to do it. No, we can't. We don't want to say, yeah, we could do that. Okay, but let's be honest here. I want every real estate agent listening to me right now to honestly answer this question. Could we as real estate agents do a way better job for any buyer if they would come and meet with us right from the onset and have a consultation, yes or no?
Versus not meeting with you.
Right, true or false? Is that a true or false? Is it not just better for the buyer, but is it better, it's not just better for us, it's better for the, well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like if you called your doctor Daniel, and you said, look, I'm not feeling well. Could you just give me a prescription over the phone? That would be called malpractice, right? The doctor must see you. Okay, so what would be the benefit that you want to communicate as to why the buyer would want to come and meet with you? When they say, well, can't I just tell you what I'm looking for over the phone, or can I email you my information? Why don't you say this? Well, you know what? I really want to do a good job for you. Rather than emailing you dozens of homes which may or may not match your criteria, or even worse, miss out on the perfect home, if we can get together for 15 minutes, I can take down exactly what you're looking for. I'll have the same great understanding that you have. That way, I'll be only sending you homes that are a perfect match, and we'll never miss out on the perfect home. When do you think would be a good time for us to get together, days or evenings? It's that easy. Now, they're either going to submit and do it your way, or they're going to fight you. Now, the harder they fight you, the more your brain's saying, I don't want them, right? The more I fight you, the more you're saying, well, I don't really want this person because it doesn't sound like they want to commit to they're not going to commit to me. And I don't want to spend a lot of time with people that aren't going to commit to me because Craig's marketing system's working so well. I have all these other buyers and sellers that will commit to working with me, and my time is limited. So I prefer to choose to spend time with people that will. That's the idea here. Now, let's go back to the beginning of the script, Daniel. Let's go back to you calling me, and you ask for Craig, and I say, Craig's not in. This is his wife. Now, this time, I'm not going to play ball. Let's do it this way. So ring, ring. Hello?
Hello, may I speak with Craig, please?
He's not in right now. This is his wife. Who's speaking?
Hey, this is Daniel with Royal LePage, and the reason why I'm calling is because I received his request for a list of bank foreclosure properties, and as a courtesy, I just want to let him know that I've sent that list over. Is that okay?
Great, but you'd have to talk to him. I don't know anything about this.
Okay, well, by the way, are you planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, I don't know. You'd have to. I don't know anything about his inquiry, so you'd really have to talk to my husband about this. Now, would you agree? I'm not playing ball with you, right? I'm not going to answer your questions. I keep saying you got to talk to my husband. So what should you say now? You should say great. You should say great. What's your husband's cell number and work number so I can follow up with him? She's saying, I'm not going to talk to you about this. I don't know anything about this. You need to talk to my husband, at which point you should say, okay, perfect. Could I have his cell number? Could I have his work number? Now, when you call the husband back at work or on his cell phone number and he says, hey, how did you get this number? You can say, well, I called your wife and she gave it to me. She said I should talk to you. Is he going to be upset with you? How can he be? You did what you did what his wife told you to do. And I'll give you another hint here too. It's really a great time to call prospects back around 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the afternoon, especially prospects that you've had a hard time reaching. Think about this. Why is 3:30 in the afternoon a great time to call people's homes? Because the parents are at work, but guess who's home now? Little Johnny's home. The kids will answer the phone. Little Johnny. Okay, you call, little Johnny answers, and you say, hey, may I speak to your mom or dad? No, they're not in. Do you have their work and cell numbers? Sure. Could you give me their Visa or MasterCard number as well? They'll give you anything, right? They just want to get you off the phone. So then when I call the parents, right, and I call the parents and I say, oh, how did you get my work number? How'd you get my cell number? I'll say, well, I called home and your son gave it to me. Don't be mad at me. Okay, so some little techniques there. Thank you very much for volunteering, Daniel. Let's see who's next.
Craig, let me point out something as well here that's kind of interesting about that objection of meeting. Why do we need to meet? If you think about it, if you're talking to, in this case, a buyer, and the buyer met a realtor at an open house, the buyer's receiving properties from another realtor that they met at that open house, the buyer is going online looking for properties, can we all agree that doing those things, the buyer has been unsuccessful in finding the property that they're looking for? Can we agree? The buyer hasn't found what they're looking for.
Whatever process they're using right now hasn't worked because they're Especially I'll say that to buyers that say, well, I'm on 5 different websites. I get the local paper every day. I drive through all the neighborhoods. Look, yeah, how's that working out? You've got 8 agents sending you information. You're online. You're on 15 different websites, but you're still looking for a home.
With all due respect, I have to note that doing all of those things, you've been unsuccessful in finding the dream home that you're looking for, and it's because what you're receiving is insufficient. Would you also like to receive the harder to find deals, the properties that you might not find on Trulia or Realtor.com, or perhaps that aren't being sent to you? Bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, vacant, properties that are off-market, pocket listings. These are the great deals that you're not finding that are very likely what you're looking for. And I can include those as they come on the market, and it's absolutely free. Are you sure you wouldn't reconsider that? I dare you to say no to that. It's too good, and it's too logical. It makes sense. It's like, you're right. I've spent the last 3 months doing all of these things, driving around to open houses, combing through the websites and publications, and I haven't found anything. So doing it that way, we just need to kind of point out subtly, doing it that way, it's not your fault, it's because it's insufficient. My way includes everything. Sorry.
Next question is from Michaela, who is Leanne's inside sales agent. And here's her question. James and Craig, how do I back away from people after I've decided halfway through the script when they're fighting me too much? Like, how do I get out of an appointment that I've sort of booked? Well, look, that's why you want to ask all the qualifying questions first. James McDonald famously says, you don't book an appointment just because you can. You only book an appointment when you should. And that's why the script is designed exactly the way it is. This is the science. We've got an intro, which Andrea will highlight right now. And then we've got the second, you see the box around the middle part of the script are the questions. Those are the qualifying questions. We ask these qualifying questions first before we make the offer. We do not make an offer until we ask the questions. Now, why are we asking these qualifying or these important questions? Because we want to know how they answer these questions. If we don't like the way they answer the questions, we don't like what we hear, we're not even going to ask for an appointment. We're not going to make that offer. Our offer might be thanks and have a nice day.
Let me make this suggestion though. If you've already booked the appointment and now you want to undo the appointment, so this is more unusual. Usually, you would decide that you didn't want the appointment before you offered the appointment. So for some reason in this circumstance, what you're saying is, I've already booked the appointment, and then I discover that I don't want the appointment. So if it's a buyer, what you want to get into is, how did they arrive at their price point that they're looking in? Have you been pre-qualified for a home loan? And if they say no, then you need to let them know that the appointment's premature and that they should get in touch with your lender. It's not that hard to undo an appointment once you've booked it in terms of discussing their financing. But I think your scenario is rare. Usually, you would discover before you book the appointment that you didn't want the appointment. That would happen 99 times out of 100. So you just wouldn't book the appointment with somebody who isn't a good fit with you, let's say.
Okay, next question is from Maria. If the wife won't talk to you and defers to the husband, could you just jump in and say, hey, I understand, would it be more convenient if I drop by to discuss this in person with both of you? I don't know, that might aggravate the husband. I think you should just do as we suggest, Maria. If the wife won't talk to you and says, you got to talk to my husband, that's your perfect opportunity to say, great. How can I speak to your husband? What's his cell number? What's his work number? And sometimes they won't give you additional phone numbers. They'll say, well, you have to call back here at a later time. I don't think you want to spend your time dropping by to see prospects that you don't know are qualified. That's why we want to do this over the phone, right? With my system, you're not going to have time to be running around to visit everybody before you've asked them the qualifying questions. What if they have a real estate agent already? What if they're thinking of selling, but it's not for 2 years? What if they're just curious? They're not thinking of selling at all. So yeah, I wouldn't be running around talking to anybody without an appointment, and you're only going to book an appointment if the prospects answer the questions properly, and you're only going to get them to answer the questions if you speak to them. Next question is from John Lowe. John says, I use, this sounds like a time-consuming process. How is that working for you? So John's talking about, referring back to what we were speaking about a few minutes ago, when the prospect says, hey, I don't need to meet with you. I'm already on this website and that website and this website, and I go to open houses, and I look in the paper every day, and I have 4 other agents sending me information. I don't need your information. So John says, okay, well, doing all that you just described, that sounds kind of time-consuming. How's that working for you? Well, they're calling you looking for more information, so we can assume not very good. Curtis Young is asking, would you set up the home hunter service for people that are living out of state before they arrive? Well, Curtis, as mentioned, the first thing we want to try to do is get their commitment. Okay, and this is what we have to understand. The go-to for most agents, including many of you who are new to our program, your go-to, the industry standard, is we just give away all the information to every buyer we speak to on the phone or every buyer we meet in person. I'm not saying, Curtis, that you can't do that, but that's the fallback position. The first thing you want to do is qualify the prospects on the phone to decide whether this is even a viable prospect, whether their motivation and what their timing is. And if they are motivated and they live out of state and they're going to be coming into the area in the next little while, you're going to book the appointment at your office. If they're not coming into the area in the next few months, what would be wrong with just doing the buyer presentation right over the telephone? I'm going to do this for you and this for you. It's the same words that you would say in person, but you just do it over the phone. You could take my VIP buyer presentation, the PowerPoint presentation that I've given to all of you. You could do a webinar just like we're doing right now. And you could talk them through all the slides. You could email them the VIP buyer agreement that we just looked at a few minutes ago. It's 1 page. It's very simple. They sign it and they get it back to you. Now, failing that, if they wouldn't sign that, could you still email them information on properties? Absolutely. But why is it, as an industry, we don't at least attempt to get their commitment? Why do we go straight to, I'm just going to give you everything away. I'm just going to concede that there would be no benefit in you committing to me at all. And the crazy thing is, I've mentioned several times, is none of us would do this with the seller side of our business. So let's flip it around. And Curtis, I own a property in your marketplace, but I live out of state. Okay, so here's a real world example. I live in Canada, but I have a vacation home in Florida. Okay, so imagine I call an agent in Florida and I say, look, I've got this house in Florida. I'm not using it that much. I want to sell it, but I'm not really big into commitment. But I want you to promise me that you'll open house it every single Saturday and Sunday. Okay, I want you to handle all the inquiries off of the for sale sign. I want you to advertise it in 18 different places. And if you bring me an offer that's really good, Curtis, then I promise you I'll pay you something, like whatever I feel like. All verbal. How many of you would do all that? None of us. We say, oh, that's heresy in real estate. None of us. We're not going to do anything with a seller without a listing contract in place. But then we turn around and we do the opposite when it comes to buyers. And correct me if I'm wrong, but convincing a seller to commit to you means that the seller's got to pay you $20,000 or $30,000 in exchange for your services. And here we are as an industry, we can't even convince a buyer to pay us nothing in exchange for similar services. It's pretty sad, right? James, you're my buyer. Hey, James, look, if I do this for you and 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 this for you, would it be okay? I'm really scared to ask you this. Would it be okay if you paid me nothing? It's ridiculous. These are paradigms.
Yeah, they really are.
Okay, name me one other industry. Think of one other industry outside of real estate where they would do all the work and maybe they would get paid later. Try that with your lawyer.
You know, Craig, it's funny, but I have a very vivid memory from, I want to say probably around 1995, of a Monday morning office meeting with all of the outside sales agents at your team. And I remember this is when buyer agency was introduced and how it was never going to work and this is not going to work. And back then they had like introductory laws, or that's the way it worked, is who introduced them to the property. But I remember the pushback for buyer agency was, this is absolutely never going to work. And I remember you standing there saying, but how come it works with sellers?
Well, let me read you something that's just come in here. This is from Allison. Allison says, hey, I have a good question. The purpose of the buyer appointment, is it just to fill out the form, or is the purpose of that buyer appointment at your office to get the buyers to sign an exclusive agreement? Because most buyers will not sign an exclusive agreement. But Allison, they all do. Every buyer does. Most agents wait until they're getting the offer signed, though. Okay, I used to see that all the time, James.
Yes,
so I'll work with you. You're my buyer, and I show you a whole bunch of homes. Now, I have no commitment other than maybe you kind of like me, and I run around. And now today, I find you a house that you really like, and today I get the buyer agency agreements at the same time I'm getting the offer signed. Well, guess what? I don't need the buyer agency agreement signed now. I'm doing it at the end. You've got to do this at the beginning. And Allison, the answer is yes, they will. Yes, they will. Every single buyer, every single one of the buyers that we worked with, that we sold homes to, 500 to 600 homes a year, every single one of them signed a buyer agency agreement. Now, will everyone you meet with sign it? No, but everyone you work with will. Because the buyers that won't sign it, you're going to know right from the onset, well, here's somebody that I shouldn't spend any more time with because it'll be a waste of time. This person won't commit to me. So
for free.
The answer...
will not allow me to represent them exclusively for free.
Right. Here's what they're saying. This is what they're saying, Allison. James, could I get you pre-qualified free of charge so we don't waste time looking at homes above and below your price range? And when I get you approved free of charge, I'm going to help you get the lowest home loans, the lowest interest rates. In other words, I'm going to save you money. And would it be okay if I emailed you every single day all the homes that match your criteria, including difficult to find properties like bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, vacant homes, and other distress sales? And James, you also get my specialized knowledge. When you see a home that you like, I'm going to take you through those properties. I'm going to tell you everything about it. I'm going to write a contract and negotiate that contract in your best interest and fight for your terms. And none of my services cost you a penny. Does that sound fair, James? If I do this and this for you,
and you're never obligated to buy anything.
Right, and all I return, so I do all this stuff for you, James, and all I ask in return is for your loyalty. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of loyalty. I've got a little nephew in real estate.
I would rather know now. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. How many of you are single, or you remember being single? And maybe you went on a couple dates.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I would get scared of these analogies.
Okay, but would you rather know it's not going to work out at the first date, right? Or even before you ask the person out for the first date? Or would you rather this just go on for weeks or months of disappointment? Wouldn't you just rather know now? Well, it's the same thing. You're having a relationship with this buyer. You want to use that interview process as the opportunity to decide, well, is this going to be a good relationship? I remember when we first started doing buyer agency, I had a team of 8 agents. And my agents felt exactly the same way Ellison is. They said, Craig,
yes.
You don't get it. Buyers are never going to sign this.
They're never going to sign it, yes.
Here's what they said to me. Why would any buyer in our town sign that when they can just call another agent that will go out and show them homes without a buyer contract? So I started leading by example. I started meeting with buyers myself, and eventually I'm getting, not all of them, mind you, even Craig Proctor, not signing them all up, but 8 out of 10 buyers, I'm getting signed up to a buyer agency agreement. And then I teach Lindy Black, okay, my head buyer agent, I teach her how to do it. Now, when Lindy Black is going out there and she's signing 80% of the buyers she meets with to a buyer agency agreement, I must say it didn't take long for the other 7 buyer agents to fall into place here, because they're not getting commitments. They believe it can't be done. Lindy believes it can. She's getting all her buyers signed up, and she's selling
here's
homes.
What's interesting too is once Lindy figures out how to give the presentation in such a way that it overwhelmingly results in them signing the exclusive buyer agreement, now you say to Lindy, okay, Lindy, now that you know how to do this, I'm going to give you the option. Would you like to go back to working with buyers without a contract, or would you prefer to do it this way? What would you rather? Well, it's a no-brainer. In other words, nobody that learns how to get buyers to sign contracts ever elects not to use one. The only reason you'd ever work with a buyer without a contract, there's only one reason and one reason only. It's because you don't know how. That's all. Nobody
I'm going to add one more thing to that. Okay, I'm going to add one more thing. James just said something important. He says, of course, all of you as real estate agents would rather have commitment. So it's not that you don't like this idea of getting the buyer signed to a buyer agreement. And it's not, sure, for some of you it's that you don't know how to do it, but I'm going to tell you there's even one step before that. You don't believe. You don't believe the buyer will do it. There's an old saying, and it goes like this. The first sale that every salesperson must make is to themselves. I promise you, if you don't believe the buyers are going to sign a buyer agency agreement with you, you will not sell any buyer agent. You won't sign anyone up. You just won't. That's your belief system. I had an inside sales agent. I had 4 of them. One of them could not book buyer appointments. After a couple of weeks, I sit down with her and I go, all the other agents, all the other inside sales agents are booking buyer appointments left and right. You don't seem to be able to do that. She says to me, well, if I was a buyer, I would never agree to come into the office and meet with you, and I would never agree to sign that. Bingo, there's your answer. The first sale that everyone must make is to themselves, because she believed that as a buyer I would never come in and I would never sign this. She would never be able to convince someone else to do what she didn't believe in. Let's go to the next question here. Well, this is actually a comment. It's from Ellen Levy out in the DC area. Ellen says, of course all of our buyers sign an exclusive agency agreement before they ever get into the car with us, typically at a higher compensation rate than what is offered on MLS. Well, Ellen, you make a good point, and that's a discussion for a different day. Ellen and our top agents who've been hanging around me for a while, we teach them how to negotiate their fee on the buyer contract instead of just accepting what's offered on MLS. So what's happening to the portion of the commission being offered to the buyer agent? Is it going up or is it going down? Well, in Toronto, it used to be 3.5% being offered to the buyer agent, and then it was 3%, and then it was 2.5%, and then it was 2.25%, and then it's 2%, and then it's 1%. Are most of the agents in your area strong negotiators or weak? Well, they're weak. So you're letting a weak agent negotiate your fee, because the way you're working with buyers is you don't have a buyer contract, you're showing them houses, they may decide to work with you or they may leave you behind when it's time to buy, and even if you sell them a home, you're just accepting whatever's being offered in MLS. Ellen Levy here from DC, she says that's not how we do it. We negotiate our fee with the buyers in our office before we run around and show them even one house. We call this setting your rules of engagement. Believe me, every professional has them. Your doctor doesn't do house calls anymore. Okay, it doesn't happen. Your lawyer won't do anything for you until there's a pretty hefty retainer fee. Okay, so what are your rules of engagement going to be? Ellen Levy, she's just articulated hers. I'll repeat it again. All of our buyers sign an exclusive buyer agency agreement before they ever get into our car, typically at a higher compensation rate than what is being offered at MLS. Good job, Ellen. Let's see if we have another role play.
We have lots of hand raised. I'm not sure which ones might be role plays, which ones might be questions. I'll go to Cara Smith. Your line is open. Cara, you're live with us. Okay, we'll go on. We have Hazel Tobian. Your line is now open.
Hi, good morning.
Hello, Hazel.
Hi, Craig. How are you?
I'm pretty good. What's on your mind?
I would like to have a role play with seller. The CMA was already sent, and I would like to do a follow-up call.
All right. So is this the first time you've spoken to me?
Yep, this is the first time.
All right. Ring, ring, and I say hello.
Hi, is Craig there?
Speaking.
Hi, Craig. My name is Hazel, and I'm calling on behalf of the Devote team with Century 21 Dreams. The reason I'm calling is we received your request for information regarding home evaluation several months ago through one of the Facebook ads over the net, and I just want to let you know that I have sent out that information to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, I thought I was just going to get that information online or emailed to me. I didn't know that this was coming from a real estate agent.
I understand, but no, we just wanted to make a follow-up just to make sure that you received the information.
Yep,
So
I've got it, so thank you.
Glad to know that. By the way, Craig, are you planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
Maybe.
I see, but are you the owner of the home that you requested for home evaluation for?
Yep.
Perfect. So if you were to move, would you be staying in the area or moving away?
Probably stay here.
All right. And when do you think that might be?
Maybe later in the spring.
All right. Thank you for that. And by the way, Craig, do you have a real estate agent to help you with that when the time is right?
No.
All right, great. So, Greg, what I'll do here is I'll set you up to receive our free monthly newsletter for you to keep in touch with what's happening in the marketplace. Is that okay with you?
Why would you not offer the seller offer? I said I want to stay local. And I said I want to do something in the next couple months.
Okay. Is this still part of the role play or for the coaching?
I'm just saying. I'm saying you're immediately saying I've answered all the questions like to your liking, right? You asked me if I had an agent, and I said no. And you asked me if I'm going to be, what my timing was, and I said I'll probably do something in the spring. Well, it's almost May. And you said, okay, well, I'll follow up with you later. Why do you want to follow up with me? Why don't you just go for the appointment now?
I see, because
what would I have to say to you so you would think, hey, this is somebody I probably want to meet with?
Also, you probably want to explore the buy side as well. In other words, if Craig is staying in the area, well, it begs the question, would you prefer to look for something in the area before you put your present home on the market to sell it? Have you started looking? Like, those are good questions. What if Craig said this? Yeah, we've been looking around. We've been going to open houses. We've been trying to find the perfect property, but we haven't found anything yet. But anyway, I doubt you could.
It kind of sounded like this. So I said I want to stay local. You asked me when it might be. I said in the spring. You asked me if I had another realtor, and I said no. And you asked me if I own the house. I said yes. And then you said, okay, well, I guess we'll call you later at another time. Why not even try for the appointment?
I see.
I kind of feel like you're asking the right questions, and I'm giving you all the correct answers.
Well, there is one question that you missed, and that is, would you prefer to look for your next home before you sell your present home?
You did not ask me question 5. You didn't ask question 5.
That is arguably the most important question, because it would dictate whether it would be appropriate to make you the buyer offer.
Right. What if I said, if you had asked me question 5, do you prefer to buy first or sell first? I said, well, actually, I'd like to find another home before I put my home up for sale. Now what would you do?
I'll go for the buy offer.
Okay, so let's hear your buyer offer.
Okay. Well, Craig, I'd like to explain our free home hunter service where you can receive information daily on all hot new home listings that come on the market, that match your specific home buying criteria, and that includes bank foreclosures, fixer-uppers, and other distressed sales. This allows you to beat out other buyers to hot new home listings, and our service is absolutely free of charge. It also includes properties from all real estate companies, and at no time you are obligated to buy. So does this sound like a service you would be interested in?
Okay, that was very good, by the way. All right, here's my objection. Well, you said it includes listings from all the other companies. Well, I'm already getting that. I have a friend of mine at the gym. He sells real estate part-time, and he's been emailing me all the houses. So I think I'm good.
I see. Well, I'm not really sure what other agents are sending you, but no, our list includes bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, and other distressed sales. Would you be interested in getting information on these properties as well?
Well, yeah, I don't want to miss out on anything. I guess if it's free and no obligation, sure, I'll take your list too.
Perfect. So what is better for you, days, evenings, or weekend?
For what? Watching TV?
Oh, now if we can get together for 20 minutes, we can take down exactly what you're looking for.
Okay. So why can't I just tell you over the phone what we're looking for?
No, Craig, I understand that's really a good thing, but I really want to do a good job for you and put in a considerable amount of time for this.
You know what, Craig? I want to do a good. I really want to do a good job for you. Okay, that makes sense. It's like, okay, well, I would like the person to do a good job. All right. Well, look. What did I do this? I've got your contact information. My wife's not. I'll check her schedule and then I'll call you back.
Okay. How about this, Craig? Let us set up a tentative appointment so that whenever you're able to talk with your wife, then if that time is not going to be fine with you, you can contact us back and we can have the appointment rescheduled. How does this sound?
A little wordy. Here's exactly what I'd say. So why don't we do this? Since we're both on the phone right now, why don't we at least set up a tentative time, and when your wife comes home, if that time doesn't work, give me a call back and we can change the time. If the prospect is sincere about meeting you and the only reason he really can't book the appointment is because he doesn't know his wife's schedule, you have come up with a very good plan. You've solved the problem. Let's set up a tentative time. If, however, they're not sincere about meeting with you and that was just an excuse they made up, you'll hear them say something like this: yeah, gee, you got me there. That is a good idea. That would work, and that totally blows my objection out of the water. So how about I invent a new objection, which is, gee, I don't know if we're ready for a meeting with an agent quite yet. Why don't we call you when we're ready? And that's a bad sign. So you've done very good, Hazel. Very good.
Thank you, Craig.
I'm proud of you, Hazel.
Okay. Can we go, Andrea? Can we do a role play with Kara again? Kara's on the line. Kara Smith.
Yes. Kara, I have opened your mic.
Kara's like, damn you.
How do you know Kara wants to role play?
Well, she volunteered earlier, but had issues, and now the issues are solved apparently here.
Oh.
Kara,
okay,
you muted yourself. Now you're unmuted on all ends. Say hello. Does not sound like you have a working mic on your device.
Oh, Kara, you're wiggling out of this.
All right, next question is from Louis. Rachette, is that how I pronounce that? Louis?
Sure.
What do you think? Rachette?
Yeah, I think you did a good job. Rachette.
Okay. Question is, you have accepted an offer on which the seller offers 2% to the cooperating broker. However, I have a contract for 3% with the buyer. What is the best way to approach the buyer to obtain the difference? Okay, the extra 1%. Everyone understand that? So Louis, smart guy, he negotiates his commission with the buyer just like we all negotiate our commission with the seller. And Louis knows what's going on with the buyer-broker commissions. They're going down, down, down. So when Louis meets with the buyer, they meet him at his office or at their property. In his buyer contract, he specifies, I always get paid 3%. I don't care what home you buy or what commission's being offered. If it's less than 3%, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you got to make up the difference. Great. The buyer signs it, and now, of course, Lewis sells them a house that only offers 2% to the buyer agent. Lewis's contract is for 3%. We've got a 1% deficiency, and Lewis wants to know, ooh, how do we handle this? Is a bit of a sticky wicket, as they would say in England. How do we handle this? Because I don't want to upset my buyer. So here's what we're going to say. Lewis, you're going to approach your buyer and say, look, the house that you want to buy, they're offering 2%. My buyer agency with you is 3%. We have a 1% deficiency. How would you like to handle it? I've got a couple of options. One option, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, is you could stroke me a check for the 1% shortfall, or we could try to get the seller to pay for it. What do you think the buyer says? Okay, so I could write a check for several $1,000s, or Craig says he's going to see if he can get the other seller the short sale. So the difference. So here's what we insert. We insert a clause in our offer to purchase and sale that says the seller agrees to pay the buyer 1% of the sales price towards the buyer's closing costs. Now, our commission's a closing cost. See, this goes back to Real Estate 101. So let me ask everyone this. Who pays the commission? Some of you will say, well, the seller pays the commission. And then some of you will say, well, that's not really true, because without a buyer, there is no sale, so there would be no commission. So the truth is both the buyer and the seller pay the commission. Commissions are paid out of the proceeds of the sale. So that's the clause. I'll repeat it again because I know some of you really like that. Okay, seller agrees to pay 1% of the purchase price to the buyer on closing to help cover the buyer's closing costs. Now, you need a direction letter on closing. So you're at closing. There's a letter of direction signed by the buyer that says that commission goes back to you. Because without that letter of direction signed by the buyer, guess who actually gets the 1%? The buyer's going to get the 1% on closing. How many of you like that idea? Now remember, some of you are going to say, well, I could never do that. I understand right now some of you probably could never do it because you don't believe it's possible. Again, I will introduce you to dozens and hundreds of people that are doing it and doing it very well, and eventually we'll win you over. But why don't we start with this? Why don't we start with the basics? If I can't convince you, show you, coach you on how to get the buyer to pay you nothing, then we don't need to go to the next step of getting the buyer to pay you a set commission. Because if I can't even get you to say, hey, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and all in exchange for that, all I ask is for your loyalty, none of my services cost you a penny. Let's start with free. Let's start with helping you all work for free. Okay, once we get there and that becomes really easy and you're able to sign up 80% of the buyers you meet with to a buyer agency agreement where you're accepting whatever's offered on MLS, then we can talk about going to the next step. Just like Lewis, just like Ellen Levy, these members have been in the program for a while and they set their own fee. They're in control. They decide who they're going to work with. They set their fee, and they also decide who they're not going to work with. I'm just reading questions.
And now that we're at the top of the hour, before people have to start dropping off, I'd like to remind everybody, please load your ads for tomorrow's marketing clinic.
Cyrus says, well, what do we do in the situation of a for sale by owner? Well, if your buyer contract was for 3% and they're buying a FSBO, then the same clause goes in there, right? The seller, the FSBO in this case, is going to pay 3% of the sales price to the buyer on closing to help cover the buyer's closing costs. Now, if the seller won't pay the shortfall, you could go back to the buyer and say, hey, look, we got a bit of a problem here. There's a shortfall. I did what you asked me to do. I tried to get the seller to pay the difference, and they won't. So how would you like to handle this? I don't want 1% getting in the way of our relationship here. You bought a beautiful $1 million home. How about we do this? In lieu of the 1% shortfall, how about you agree in writing today that you'll send me 3 referrals within the next 12 months? I think we'd all agree that 3 referrals are way better than the 1%. So anyway, we'll teach you how to run after we teach you how to walk. Let's go back and see if we have another role play.
Okay, we'll go to Allison Happel. Your line is now open.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, Allison. How are you on this lovely Thursday?
Fine, thank you. I would like to practice seller script. Hello, Mr. Craig. This is Agent Allison.
Yeah, you can just call me Craig. You don't have to call me Mr. Craig.
Okay, Craig. This is Agent Allison with Providential.
Yes.
The reason I'm calling
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. The reason I'm calling is because I received your request for evaluation of a home for the information you want. I have prepared in the email. It's okay to email to you?
Yeah, send it out.
Good. Are you planning on making movie in the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, we're thinking about it.
Okay, good. If you were to move, would you be staying locally or moving out of the area?
We want to stay in the area.
Okay, good. When do you think that might be?
Well, I probably want to do something, move over the summer.
Okay, good. Do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
I have an uncle that's kind of part-time in real estate.
Are you open-minded to see how performance of other agent? They using the agent technology to sell the homes?
Yeah, the truth is I really don't even like my uncle.
Okay, that's good. Would you prefer to buy before listing your home, or do you want to sell first?
I think we want to look around first. Before, we're very confident our house will sell quickly, so we'd like to look at homes before we put our house up for sale.
Oh, okay, good. Would you like me to email you daily updates of homes that match your home buying criteria from all real estate companies?
I think I'm good. I just go on the internet and I find them there because all the homes are on the internet, right?
But not exactly, because we're doing good job. Our list includes any bank foreclosure, bank-owned properties, or other distressed sales. That list probably you cannot find on internet. We'll have to do specific search to find for you.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. I thought they were all on the internet.
Yeah, anyway, it's a free service, and of course, you're never obligated to buy a home. Would that interest you?
Yes, I would like to get all the information.
Okay, when can we get together for about 20 minutes so I can take it down exactly what you are looking for?
Can you come to my house?
Oh yeah, sure, I would like to. So, what is best time for you? What is best time for me to meet you? Days, evenings?
Well, you probably want my wife there too, so I've got your phone number here. Why don't I call you back when she gets home and we can set a time then?
Craig, how about this? We set a time right now after you discuss with your wife. If you need any change, you just give me a call. Otherwise, we just keep the schedule. That sounds good for you.
Ellison, you did very good. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
See how easy this is? It's easy. We just have to have the right words come out of our mouths. Our mouth. I guess we only have one mouth. All right. Thank you very much, Ellison. Let's go back. I think that Kara has her act together. She says it should work now. I switched headsets. This one should work. Let's give Kara another shot.
Kara, you're open with us. There you go.
Good morning.
Kara, you did it.
We did it. Sorry about that. The other one wasn't working.
No problem. All right. Let's see what you want to be, a buyer or seller.
Buyer, please.
All right. And what did I request of you?
You requested about a property in Carlsbad.
Oh, so this is just like a sign call?
Well, you had gone on our website and requested to, you inquired about a property on our website.
Okay, so you're calling me back. Ring, ring. Hello.
Hi, Craig. This is Kara with the Betrayal team at Ardent Real Estate Services. And the reason for my phone call is I received a request on a property in Carlsbad on our website, findsouthern.californiahomes.com.
Yeah, I remember that. I really like that place.
Well, great. Well, Craig, are you folks planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, maybe. How many bedrooms does that have?
Well, while I look that up for you, Craig, do you currently rent or do you own your home?
Yeah, we own a house. Do you know the age of that property?
Well, Craig, are you planning on staying in the area or moving out of the area?
We're going to stay in the area. Does that have a swimming pool? You see what I'm trying to do?
Yes. This
is what they try to do, right? They try to get all the information from you, and you're trying to get information from them. And here's what we know: the person that controls the conversation, is going to win the battle here.
Right.
All right. So let's play this out right now. I'd say, how many would you say we're like kind of neutral right now?
Okay.
You're like, we're two boxers going head to head, and we're both getting our shots in, but I don't think anyone's winning right now.
No, it's pretty a hot mess.
Okay, now, but here's the thing. Let's use this boxing analogy.
Okay.
Okay, so let's take a famous boxer, Mike Tyson. Now, if we as an amateur got in the ring with Mike Tyson, there's no question what would happen, who would win, right?
Right.
That would be, if I got in the ring with Mike Tyson, that would be a hot mess. But it shouldn't be that way, right? They're getting, the amateur, the buyer is getting in the ring with you, Kara. You're the professional. You're the Mike Tyson of real estate. So for the amateur buyer who's not in our business to get in the ring and beat you up, shouldn't happen.
Right.
Okay, so new sheriff in town. You've got to take control of this conversation. So far, all we're doing is trading. You're asking me a question, and I'm asking you. I'm just coming back and asking you a question. So where are we going to go with this?
I'm sorry?
Let's keep going on the script.
Oh, okay. Craig, do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
No.
Well, Craig, would you like me to email you daily updates of homes that match your home buying criteria from all real estate companies?
Could we start by just looking at this one first?
Well, Craig, our list includes bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, or other distressed sales. And, Craig, this is a free service, and, of course, you're never obligated to buy a home. Would that interest you, Craig?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just want to look at this one.
Well, Craig, when can we get together for about 20 minutes so I could take down exactly what you're looking for? Would days, evenings, or weekends work best for you?
Can we just meet over at the house? I can tell you then.
Well, no, we'd actually, if you could come to our office, that would be best. We just need to sit down with you for 20 minutes to take down your exact criteria.
You're not giving me a benefit, right? Here's what you're saying. What you're saying, now, Mr. Buyer, I know you want to go look at the house, but let me tell you what's best for us. I have no benefit for you, but what would be best for us is if you would drive a half an hour to your way and come over to our office. That's what would suit us best.
Yeah, I worded that incorrectly.
Okay, so here I'm going to give you some language here. Okay,
Okay.
I want you to be the buyer, Kara. Okay. So Kara, I understand you want to look at the house over on Maple Avenue. Now, when we take you to show you that house, would you like us to show you all the other homes in the area that would also match your criteria?
Yeah, that sounds wonderful.
Like Kara, I'm assuming before you make a purchase decision, you probably want to look at more than one house, right?
Right.
So why don't we get together at my office? We can have a really good conversation about exactly what you're looking for, and that way I can show you all the homes that match your criteria.
That's much better.
The other thing you can do is you can look for eliminators. So you're in Carlsbad, right?
Yes.
Now, what features in a home, give me an example of a feature in a home that if the buyer knew about it, they probably wouldn't even call you off of the sign call or the ad. How about if it had an oil tank buried in the backyard? How about if it had, okay, back in the 1970s and 80s, they had this weird insulation called formaldehyde insulation. It was this foam insulation they used to blow into houses, and if they found out it made people sick. How about if it had, they used to put aluminum wiring in homes, and the houses would burn down. So what if you shook the buyer's confidence and I said something like this? Kara, I have to say, you know the home that you're calling on? What I need to look at, I need to look into this, but I think that house had aluminum wiring. Is that something you might be interested in?
No.
Well, that's a benefit for us to get together because we could talk about exactly what you're looking for and then like what disqualifiers in homes that wouldn't interest you. That way when we take you out to look at homes, we're only going to show you homes that you'd be open and interested in buying. Now, here's something else that you can use as well. One of the things that Jim, your team leader, should be using when he's on a listing presentation is, I don't know if you remember me saying this in my listing presentation, but I say to the seller this. I say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is just when I'm ready to get them to sign the listing. Say, now, look, most agents that you list your home with, they would drag anybody and everybody through your property. I would like your agreement that we're only going to show your property to buyers that have come to my office. We've got them pre-qualified for financing, and they have all the information about your property, rather than just, you know, running anybody and everybody through your property. How would you like us to work on this with your property? Unqualified, just anybody going through the home, you're running around cleaning the house up for anybody, or should we have some rules of engagement in place, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that the buyers need to meet with us, get all the information on your property, and we make sure that they're qualified to buy your home before we drag them through your house? What do you think the seller says? No, the seller is going to say, no, I want you to meet with them, pre-qualify them for financing, make sure they can afford my home, and I want them to have all the information on my property, so you're only bringing qualified buyers through my home. So if we have that agreement with the seller, here's what we can say, Kara.
Okay.
You're my buyer, and you're fighting meeting with me. Well, Kara, the arrangement I have with my seller over on Maple Street is our sellers requested that we meet with all buyers before we show the property to make sure that we give them all the information on the property and that they're actually a qualified buyer for the home. So when would be a good time for us to meet? Days or evening? Now, if you fight me on that, say, so Craig, what are you saying? You won't show me the home? I can say, Kara, I'm sure if I was representing you, you would want me to respect your wishes. What are they going to say about that? So the reason you're not going to run around and show them the house without meeting, it's not you. You're blaming it on the seller. It's what the seller wants to do. And when we list homes, if we use this language as part of our presentation, I don't think I've ever had a seller ever say, no, I'd rather just have unqualified people coming through my home all the time. Yeah, Craig, make sure they can afford the house. Make sure they don't know anything about it, because my wife and I, we just like to run around cleaning the house out and vacating our property. Nobody's going to say that. All the sellers say, no, that's really good. I like that. The other agents we interviewed didn't say that. I like the fact that you're going to mandate that buyers must meet with you, and you're going to make sure they're financially qualified, and you're going to give them all the information on the property before you drag them through our home. When you do it that way, now when the buyer, the ad call, the sign call, they just want you to drop whatever you're doing and run over and show the property, you can say, you know what, I'd love to, but I'm not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully some of these techniques will work for you.
Yeah, that's helpful.
One question you might want to ask right at the get-go, and I know it's not on the universal callback script, but if it's an ad call or a sign call, the first question I always ask them, I'd say, Kara, now are you calling for yourself? You're looking for a home for yourself, or is it for someone else? If they say I'm calling for my sister, my uncle, my brother, I can say in 25 years of real estate, I don't think I ever made any money from someone that was calling on behalf of another person. I would just give them the information and end the phone call, unless they'll give you the contact information for the decision maker.
Right.
Good job, Kara. Glad you got your headset working.
Thank you. Thank you for being patient.
Hey, no problem. You do a great job. Great tone on the voice. Great tonality. James, we're almost ready to wrap this up. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Andrea said about uploading your ads for tomorrow. We've got some to look at. As a matter of fact, Kara's part of Jim Buttrell's team, and I got some marketing from them that we're going to take a look at tomorrow. So I think Jim is going to try to join us on the Ad Clinic webinar. But we want to look at lots of different ads. So anything you're doing for lead generation, upload it. We'll take a look at it tomorrow and give you some great ideas and get into the details as well.
Warren's asking, he says, well, what if it's not your listing? Well, then you can't say it if it's not your listing, right? It only works on your listing. So if you have a buyer calling and you're showing them another property, you know, that you're not going to have an arrangement with someone else's seller, obviously. Okay, so
but you wouldn't get a sign call.
You wouldn't get a sign call or an ad call.
The phone number wouldn't go to you.
Correct. All right, so Ad Clinic tomorrow. We are going to look at some ads. Andrea, how many do you have already picked out?
Well, actually, I haven't quite picked those out yet, so I can't answer that.
See, I'm just calling Andrea out on this. Okay, Andrea, remind everybody how they do it. How do I, if I'm newer with the program, how do I upload my ads?
Okay, you just go to the Resources tab, click Ad Clinic. Then you're going to select the file. The file's got to be saved somewhere on the device you're using. You just open it, hit Upload File, and then down below you will see all of the ads you've ever loaded.
Cool. So we're going to look at some really fantastic ads. We'll probably look at some that aren't so great, and we'll talk about how to improve them. What would be really great for those of you who have actually, if you've run the ad already, is to, when you submit the ad, also let us know where you ran the ad, what it costs, and what kind of response you got. So that's it. Our 90 minutes are up. The role play for this week is finished, and tomorrow we'll talk all about marketing and how to generate the highest quality leads at the lowest possible cost. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Ad Clinic.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Talk to you all very soon.